Some people don't dislike you because of something you did. They dislike you because of who you are at your core. Let that really settle in. Today, you're about to understand the hidden patterns of people who resent you for no clear reason. And once you recognize these signs, you'll stop taking it personally altogether. If this resonates with you, pause for a second and lock in mentally, because this shift in perspective changes everything. The first pattern of people who resent you without cause is that they feel intimidated by your potential rather than reacting to your behavior. Understanding this is essential to realizing why their dislike often feels random or unprovoked. These individuals are not responding to anything you've actually done. Instead, they're reacting to the idea of what you might become, the potential you carry, and the way you present yourself in life. Your ambition, your discipline, your confidence, or even the way you deal with challenges can trigger a deep, subconscious discomfort in them because it reflects their own limitations and unrealized potential. When they look at you, they don't just see a person standing there. They see a reflection of what they are not. And that reflection can be difficult for them to tolerate. This is why their negativity can appear suddenly, sometimes before you've even had meaningful interaction. It isn't based on personal conflict, mistakes, or history. It's a defensive reaction to the energy you give off and the possibilities you represent. People who feel this kind of threat often try to minimize or discredit you in subtle ways, whether through gossip, passive-aggressive remarks, or unnecessary criticism, all aimed at keeping you smaller in their perception so their insecurities feel less exposed. The irony is that the more you chase your goals, the clearer your potential becomes to them, and the more uneasy they feel. Your progress highlights their lack of action, their fear of stepping outside comfort zones, or their reluctance to evolve, which only fuels their resentment. Many of them aren't even fully aware of why they feel this way. Their reaction is often automatic, emotional, and rooted in self-protection. Recognizing this behavior is freeing because it shifts your perspective. Instead of internalizing their negativity, you begin to see it as a reflection of their inner conflict. Once you understand that their hostility is about your potential, not your worth, you gain clarity and emotional distance. You're able to keep moving forward, focused on your growth and your purpose, without being distracted by their baseless dislike. Their behavior begins to lose its weight, and you stop allowing it to interfere with your mindset. This awareness becomes the foundation for emotional control and resilience, allowing you to remain steady and focused regardless of external negativity. The second pattern of people who dislike you for no real reason is that they project their own insecurities onto you. This is a crucial dynamic to understand because it explains why their criticism often feels personal, even when it doesn't make sense. Projection is a psychological defense mechanism where someone takes the feelings or flaws they don't want to face within themselves and assigns them to someone else. When a person feels insecure, whether it's about their abilities, appearance, success, or emotional strength, they look for a way to shift that discomfort outward. You become the target, not because you've done anything wrong, but because your presence highlights what they feel they lack. For example, if they struggle with consistency or fear failure, watching you handle challenges with confidence may trigger feelings of inadequacy or jealousy that they can't process. Instead of addressing those feelings, they redirect them toward you, making you the problem in their narrative. This is why their reactions can seem illogical or exaggerated. They are responding to their internal struggle, not to your actions. They might criticize traits or behaviors in you that actually mirror what they dislike about themselves. By doing this, they create a temporary sense of relief or superiority, avoiding the need to confront their own issues. Understanding this changes how you interpret their words and actions. It removes the emotional impact because you realize it's not truly about you. It's about what they're dealing with internally. When you recognize projection, you gain the ability to stay calm and grounded. You no longer feel the need to defend yourself against every comment or reaction. Instead, you observe it for what it is, a reflection of their inner state. This awareness helps you protect your confidence and maintain your focus, ensuring that their negativity doesn't disrupt your path. In a way, their behavior becomes insight into their struggles rather than a judgment of your value. The third pattern of people who resent you without reason is that they secretly observe you while pretending not to care. This is a subtle but revealing sign of their insecurity and fixation. On the surface, they may act indifferent, distant, or dismissive, as if your life has no relevance to them. But behind that mask, they are paying attention. They watch your moves, notice your habits, track your progress, and quietly analyze your actions. This behavior is driven by a combination of jealousy, fear, and a need for control. They may keep tabs on you through social media, ask indirect questions through others, or casually bring up details about your life as if it's coincidence. All of this is an attempt to feel informed, to feel like they understand you or can anticipate what you'll do next. The contradiction between their outward indifference and their hidden attention is a clear sign of underlying insecurity. If they truly didn't care, they wouldn't invest energy into observing you. Their attention reveals a level of fixation that goes beyond simple dislike. Often, they are hoping to find flaws or mistakes they can use to validate their opinions or feel better about themselves. They may look for moments where you fall short so they can exaggerate those moments internally or externally. Recognizing this pattern is empowering because it exposes the truth behind their behavior. Their indifference is not real, it's a performance. Their attention is proof that they are affected by your presence and your growth. Once you understand this, you stop being unsettled by their actions. Instead, you remain confident, knowing that their focus on you reflects their own doubts and insecurities rather than anything lacking in you. The fourth pattern of people who dislike you without reason is that they engage in subtle sabotage instead of addressing you directly. This behavior is rooted in fear and a lack of confidence. These individuals are often unwilling to confront you openly because doing so would require honesty and vulnerability. Instead, they choose indirect methods to disrupt you while maintaining a facade of neutrality. This kind of sabotage can take many forms. It might involve spreading rumors, withholding useful information, undermining your credibility with partial truths, creating distractions, or positioning themselves in ways that interfere with your progress. They avoid direct conflict because it would put them on equal ground, where your strengths and composure could expose their insecurity, so they operate quietly, hoping their actions go unnoticed or are misinterpreted. What makes this behavior particularly challenging is that it can create confusion. You may start questioning your instincts or doubting your abilities because their actions are not always obvious. They rely on subtlety to influence outcomes without taking responsibility. However, this approach also reveals something important about them. The more indirect their actions, the less confident they are in their ability to compete openly. Recognizing this gives you an advantage. Instead of reacting emotionally, you become more aware and strategic. You see their behavior for what it is and refuse to let it derail you. You stay focused, grounded, and consistent, understanding that their actions are driven by insecurity, not strength. Your best response becomes quiet persistence and steady progress. In the end, their attempts to interfere say far more about their limitations than your capabilities. By staying composed and committed to your path, you remove their influence entirely. Their negativity loses its power, and you continue moving forward with clarity, confidence, and control over your own direction. The fifth pattern of people who dislike you for no clear reason is that they twist your words to justify their resentment. Understanding this behavior is essential because it shows how their perception is shaped more by insecurity than by reality. When someone operates from baseless dislike, they rarely respond to what you actually say or mean. Instead, they filter your words through suspicion, fear, or envy, often exaggerating, reshaping, or pulling things out of context to support their narrative. A simple remark, a casual joke, or even a neutral statement can be reframed as arrogant, offensive, or threatening. Not because it truly is, but because their mind is actively searching for reasons to validate the negativity they already carry. This distortion serves more than one purpose. It shields them from confronting their own feelings of inadequacy while allowing them to justify their hostility as if it were based on something real in your behavior, even when nothing actually exists. The real risk of this behavior is that it can cause you to question your own communication, your intentions, or even your character, creating a false sense of responsibility for their reaction. The more they fixate on twisting your words, the clearer it becomes that their resentment is internal, rooted in comparison, jealousy, or discomfort with your confidence and clarity. Recognizing this pattern is freeing because it allows you to emotionally detach and see the distortion for what it truly is, a projection of their inner conflict rather than an accurate reflection of who you are. It teaches you to communicate clearly, but not to over-explain or defend yourself to someone already committed to misunderstanding you. Their manipulation of your words highlights their need for control, their desire to manufacture reasons for their dislike, and their attempt to hide their own shortcomings, which ultimately reflects weakness rather than any fault of yours. Once you internalize this awareness, you can maintain composure, continue expressing yourself authentically, and protect your energy from being drained by their misinterpretations. Their distortions begin to lose impact because you understand they are not rooted in truth. Instead, they reveal fear, inadequacy, and envy. And by seeing this clearly, you develop emotional resilience, allowing you to move through interactions with confidence, unaffected by their baseless interpretations. The sixth pattern of people who resent you without reason is that they seek validation by putting others down. Understanding this dynamic is crucial because it exposes the emptiness behind their hostility. These individuals are often deeply insecure and internally dissatisfied. Instead of improving themselves through effort, growth, or honest reflection, they attempt to feel superior by diminishing the achievements, confidence, or reputation of others. Every success you achieve, every moment of composure you display, and every sign of competence threatens their fragile sense of self. As a result, they instinctively try to neutralize that threat by criticizing, mocking, or undermining you. This need for validation through tearing others down can show up as gossip, sarcasm, dismissive remarks, social media attacks, or subtle jabs disguised as humor, all designed to make you appear less capable or less deserving. The irony is that the more they attempt to elevate themselves by lowering others, the more obvious their insecurity becomes, because confidence built on comparison is unstable and short-lived. People who carry this kind of resentment are not truly concerned with fairness, truth, or justice. Their actions are driven by the discomfort they feel when they see someone else succeed or embody qualities they lack. Recognizing this behavior allows you to separate their actions from your self-worth. When someone tries to diminish you to feel better about themselves, it reflects their deficiency, not your value. Understanding this helps you remain emotionally detached, refusing to react in ways that feed their need for validation or control. You continue growing, progressing, and maintaining composure while observing their behavior as a predictable expression of insecurity rather than a personal attack. Their attempts to validate themselves through your downfall ultimately fail to affect your true worth. By seeing their behavior clearly, you gain the clarity to move forward confidently, allowing their negativity to expose their weakness while you remain focused on your own path. The seventh pattern of people who dislike you without reason is that they become uneasy when you remain calm and silent. This reaction is a strong indicator of how much control they secretly want over your emotions. Individuals driven by baseless resentment often depend on your reactions to validate their sense of importance or superiority. They provoke, criticize, or manipulate, not always to harm you directly, but to trigger a response that confirms they can influence your emotional state. When you stay calm, composed, and silent in the face of their behavior, their strategy begins to collapse. Their discomfort becomes visible because they no longer receive the reaction they expect. Your silence removes the feedback loop they rely on to justify their hostility and feed their ego. This is why silence holds so much power. It denies them the emotional energy they seek while demonstrating your self-control, which can be deeply unsettling for someone operating from insecurity. Their agitation is not really about your actions or your success. It stems from their inability to provoke the reaction they anticipated. The more composed and focused you remain, the more frustrated and powerless they feel. This frustration may even escalate their behavior, revealing the depth of their insecurity and their dependence on external validation. Understanding this gives you a strategic edge. It reframes their discomfort as a sign of their weakness rather than something you should take personally. By staying calm and refusing to engage, you protect your energy, maintain clarity, and reinforce boundaries that prevent them from influencing you. Their agitation becomes silent proof of your strength, reflecting their lack of control while confirming your stability and confidence. The eighth pattern of people who resent you for no reason is that they lose their influence the moment you stop reacting. Understanding this is key because it reveals the true nature of their behavior and how easily it can be neutralized. People who hold baseless resentment often gain a sense of control or importance from your reactions. Whether it's anger, frustration, defensiveness, or even guilt, your response feeds their sense of relevance and confirms their perceived power over you. Their words, actions, or attempts to disrupt you are not truly about causing harm. They are designed to provoke a reaction that validates their existence and temporarily boosts their self-worth. The moment you detach, refuse to engage, and maintain your composure, their influence fades. The foundation of their power, your emotional response, disappears. When they realize that their efforts cannot provoke you, their frustration grows, their tactics weaken, and their resentment loses its effect. It becomes clear that their behavior was never about you, but about their need to feel in control. Emotional detachment and silence become powerful tools, not only protecting your energy, but stripping away the authority they try to create. The more you stay focused on your goals, remain steady, and refuse to feed their need for reaction, the less impact their negativity has on your life. Their resentment becomes nothing more than a reflection of their own insecurity and inability to manage themselves. Recognizing this brings a sense of freedom. It allows you to move through challenges without fear, remain unaffected by provocation, and rise above manipulation. By choosing not to react, You reclaim full control over your emotional state and demonstrate that your strength is not dependent on their opinions or behavior. The more grounded and focused you remain, the more powerless their resentment becomes, leaving you free to grow, succeed, and move forward while they remain stuck, exposed, and consumed by their own limitations.